Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Educator Colin Snap channel. How you doing? Today, we're going to go over some of the data mines released in the June patch. I believe a lot of it covers up till August season, so there's going to be some interesting cards, some new things to talk about. Let's get right into it. So first thing we have here is it looks like the season pass image for August, right? So here we have Dakan. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Then we have Magneto Iceman. We have some variants for that. But Dakan's a new card that we haven't really seen before. And I just want to talk about some of these cards, what they do, how impactful they might be in the meta. We just had Ghost Spider. I do think now it's not a bad card, but it's not impactful into the high evolutionary meta. High evolutionary meta like locks down one of your lanes a lot of times, or auto wins a lane with Lockjaw. So they either lock down with Storm or they win with the Lockjaw lane, and then the second lane they just win with like a big power Hulk or something. And Ghost Spider doesn't really impact that. So even though I think Ghost Spider is a good card, into the high evolution meta just doesn't really do anything that you care about. So a bit unfortunate that it came out into this particular window, but do think Draken has a lot of good things going for it. So let's talk about the new cards. So first things off, we do have Dakan itself. So this is a 3 energy 4 power card with the on reveal, add a Muramasa shard to your hand. All right, so base stats 3 energy 4 power is not horrible, but it's not like impressive. You really do have to know what the Muramasa shard does. And here we do have an image of the shard. So the shard is when this is discarded or destroyed, you double Dakan's power. So it's kind of interesting. This is like one of the few cards that just like Wolverine cares about being discarded or destroyed. In Wolverine, you do see it in both decks. I would say mostly it's more prevalent in destroying archetypes, but there are definitely some discards that you see. So this seems to be very Wolverine themed in that it's giving you the ability to have that flexibility in either discard or destroyed, which is nice because it means that it's not really a one use kind of thing. So if you do destroy the shard, which is a 1 energy 1 power card, you turn this from a 3/4 to a 3/8, which is really pretty good for a 3 cost card. It's better than Maximus, which is really the standard of a very powerful 3 cost beast stick. So that's not bad. And it says double the power, right? So the nice thing about this card is that you can delay when this triggers. So let's say you're playing Nova and it dies. Well, then Draken will get a 3/5 and then it doubles to a 3/10, which is really good. Let's say you're playing Silver Surfer, which I think is a very common place for this to be in. Well, then this turns into a 3/6, turns into a 3/12, which is really powerful for a 3 cost card. Right? If you have both 3 Nova and Silver Surfer, and maybe like Killmonger, right? This is turning into a really big card, right? A 3/14, I believe. It goes to 5 to 7. Yeah, 3/14. So this thing can be really good, really powerful. It also does work with on reveal stuff, right? So you can get 2 shards in your hand, right? Let's say you're playing a Wonk or something, right? But 2 shards, right? You double the power, goes from 3/8 straight to 3/16. If you have any other synergies, right, that can be pretty crazy. So there is actually some pretty good synergy for this card right now, to just be a really effective 3 drop to play. So I think definitely people are going to test this with Silver Surfer, but I also think this card can utilize it if you play what's it called, Modork, right? That's a very easy trigger for this card. It gives you another proc for your discard tool as well. So I do think there are some flexibilities with this card. It looks playable. It looks good. It is not like a Omega flexible card, not Nebula level flexibility, since you do probably have to be running maybe Killmonger maybe Colin Wing or something like that. So you do have to have other cards to make it work. If you have this without any synergy, it's just a 3/4, right? So that gives you a random 1 cost card draw. I mean, not random, but like gives you a 1/1 draw added to your hand. So definitely needs synergy, but if you do have synergy, this does look to be a pretty powerful card. So wondering how the meta is going to revolve around this. But yeah, definitely seems strong enough and impactful enough to be in the season pass. And I definitely think it will see play, at least initially. I'm thinking Silver Surfer next, but I could definitely see it being more experimentation added once we get later into the game. So definitely a cool card. Next card we have to talk about is X23. So this card's pretty interesting. It's a 1 energy 2 power card. When this is discarded, destroyed. So once again, very similar to Wolverine. It regenerates at a random location and you get +1 energy next turn. So this has it's a 1-drop with Wolverine-esque ability, but instead of being buffed, it gives you an energy. So I think this is like really, really strong. I think it's a 1-drop, right? So Killmonger works on it, and then all the discard stuff, not discard, but all the destroy stuff works with it. So Carnage, Deathlock, Venom, they all work with it. And then you just get free energy. So it's very similar to Electro in that you can just start ramping a little bit earlier than normal. You can ramp turn 2, right? You place on 1, Carnage on 2, you have 4 mana. So that's pretty. And another thing about this card is that it's continuously usable, meaning that if you destroy it 1 turn, it regenerates another location that you can once again destroy again, and then destroy again. So you can just have this like pseudo Electro ramp style if you are playing that. You don't get the Electro discard, and you just get to kind of have this early energy. I do think, like, obviously playing 6-cost cards early is really where things lie, but you could do something like Null into Armin Zola or something like that with the extra rep. So there's definitely a lot of use cases I think that people are going to be figuring out with this card. This card is not as enticing unless you're going for like Hela into Modork or something like that, right? But it's difficult to really control when you discard this unless you're playing like the next card. Actually, I guess you're either playing like Colin Wing or something that can specifically target the lowest power or cost card in your hand. But other than that, like, even you only get that 1 hit if you're playing discard, right? So it has to be like you discard ramp on 4 and then you Hela into a invisible woman on 5 and then you Modork on 6. Like, I think that's, but I mean, what's the point of that, right? Like, anyways, my point is, I think for discard it's more awkward than in destroy. Where in destroy you can definitely fully utilize this particular setup here. So that's definitely something to think about. I do think in destroy this is going to be a pretty good tool, something you want to be playing. It's just free mana. That's hard to really mess up, and it also just gives you another destroy target to keep destroying, right? So since it regenerates kind of like Wolverine, you can just destroy it again and again and again without really having to cost. So it can make your death like cheaper if you're getting like an extra free proc on your Deathlock, an extra free proc on your Carnage. So I definitely think in destroy this is going to be a pretty common tool to be added. So I think this can be like pretty game changing if it comes out in this form. So definitely interested to see how people utilize this card. This is probably the card I'm most excited for out of the list we've seen so far. I mean, we've seen 2 cards, but out of the full 5 we've seen. All right, next up, we have Lady Deathstrike. So the interesting about this card was it was revealed previously, and it was like a 6 energy 4 power card that would destroy your the highest cost card of your opponent. A lot of people are saying that it's just like a more awkward Shang-Chi. You have to be it takes a lot of effort to play compared to Shang-Chi, which always like can hit multiple targets, right? And can really like swing the game for you. And it's a lot cheaper, so you can usually like play 2 cards. This one you don't have that. They decided to rework it, change it up, where now it's a 5 energy, 3 power card that destroys each card here with less power than this. So that's pretty interesting. It means that it's going to destroy all 2 power cards or lower, which can be pretty impactful. It comes out earlier, right, which is also pretty cool. There's a lot of also 0 or 0/1 power cards that are pretty impactful. Things like Patriot, things like you know, not Mystique, but any ongoing that's relies on just buffing other units, right? And this can do it. The real power of this card is if you can buff this card in some way. Let's say you're playing Nakia or Okoye, or even just like Shuri or something. You can definitely, or Forge. You can definitely buff this up and make it like game swingingly powerful. If you're destroying everything that costs 5 or less, for example, that's a lot of targets, a lot of very game impacting targets if you were to do it like that. You can also destroy your own side, which might seem like a downside, but you're probably going to be fully utilizing this in the destroy list. So maybe you're hitting the Bucky, maybe you're hitting the X-23, maybe you're hitting anything else that you really want to hit a Nova or something. So this can be even useful even on your lane, even if you destroy stuff. So it also like keeps your powerful cards intact, right? I mean, it does for your opponent as well. So I do think this has definitely some potential to be pretty useful, pretty powerful, especially if you have any synergy with it. So I'm interested to see how this changes like tech cards, how this changes like some things you play, because I do think you will have to be careful about this like ruining your games if you're not paying attention. But I think like if it becomes meta, people will pay attention. So I'm not like too worried about like it ruining your games. It'll just be another thing to think about while you're playing. But yeah, definitely a cool interaction. Definitely there isn't any card with this like type of ability to destroy other multiple cards here with less power. You do have the Shang-Chi, but this is definitely a different way of teching against your opponent. So pretty interesting. I think it's more interesting than the old one where it's just destroys strongest card in your opponent's lane. And then next up we have Silver Samurai. So this is a 4 energy, 5 power card with the ability on reveal, each player discards the lowest power card from your hand. So it's not lowest energy card, which is like Colin Wing kind of tech, but this one destroys your lowest power from their hand, and it also hits both sides. So usually if you're going to be running this, you're going to be having some discard synergy, or you're going to be running like X-23 or something like that, whereas your opponent probably will be having not discard synergy, so you can definitely take advantage of this. It also opens up the 5/6 card stature. It also opens up stature for you to play, so that's also another synergy here. It also can discard the Muramasa shard from Dakan all the way back. It can also discard this. This is going to be your lowest card. So there's a lot of synergy in this particular season working together to kind of make things pretty annoying. So I think this card's going to be pretty good. You can run it in a decent amount of decks, and a 4/5 with this ability is not bad. Also, it's also a 4 cost, so Zabu can definitely take advantage of this ability and utilize it for their means. So I definitely see this seeing play. I mean, I see all the cards seeing play, honestly. I think this season has very playable cards, so I wouldn't be surprised to see all of them playing in some form. But yeah, this looks pretty good, pretty strong, and I wouldn't be disappointed. I'm a little bit scared of this one, right? Anytime you have disruption from your opponent's hand, that can definitely get out of hand too quickly, and especially like if if they're not a like if you're playing like let's say you're playing Spider Ham, right, and then you're playing this as well, right? So you're messing with their highest cost card, you're messing with their lowest power card, right? And and then you just like you just destroy anything they want to be doing, and I could definitely see people building a deck like that. So a little bit scary, but you know I'm generally fine. We'll have to see how it we'll have to see how it ends up, and I do think you can just like if this is like very oppressive, you can play like Swarm or something to kind of get back at it. It'd be a little bit annoying, but you could definitely do that. So for now, I'm okay with it. We'll see as it gets closer if things change. And then the last card we have here is Loki. So it looks like the developers or designers are really messing with people. There's a lot of like Rick Astley in the description of unreleased cards. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna let you up. Never gonna run around and hurt you. And Loki's one of them. It is a 1/1. I remember a long time ago, it had the ability of like switching your hand with your opponent, kind of like a Mindscape. I don't think that they will release a Mindscape Loki, especially with the power level of a 1 cost, right? Like doing it at turn 1 is like too toxic. So I think right now they're just working on what they want this to do. And I have a feeling like this might be like a permanent series 5. Like it seems like they really want to work on Loki. It's a popular card, and it's something they want to, you know, make sure people are interested in buying. So they're still just working on it, trying to find it where it's not too toxic, but impactful enough that people will want to buy it. So definitely interested in what design they're gonna have for Loki, and we'll definitely see in the future for that. And then the last thing I did want to talk about, well, I guess maybe not the last thing. Oh, I mean, this is definitely something to talk about, right? Especially when you compare it to some of the other bundles here. There's like a $30 4,000 gold bundle in the shop right now, and then you have this $30 1,000 credits, and it just like feels weird. And when you actually look at it in the game, it says 3x value, which is more of a joke than one of the more jokey lines I've seen secondary release. But yeah, I mean, we did talk about this another time, so I'm not really going to go over it. But yeah, definitely not a good bundle. I don't recommend this one at all. It doesn't have any value. But yeah, they have a ton of variants as well that are being released. So definitely something to be interested in if you like variants. A lot of cool ones coming up, I think, that people will be interested in. So definitely a cool little addition. They definitely do a lot of variant work, right? Like they do a lot of variant art every season. I mean, it's definitely one of their monetization tools, so I'm not too surprised. And here we have some pixel variants, you know, if you like that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely interesting list of cards. I'm definitely most excited for X23. I think this could be pretty powerful in a lot of good lists. And then I do think like Silver Samurai could also be pretty obnoxious, I guess, of a card. But overall, that's the new cards being released for overall the August season. So we're gonna have to wait to see if anything changes. Sometimes they do adjust things like Lady Deathstrike, so it's not 100% good for it, but usually they're pretty reliable, right? They've made art for the card, so they're pretty confident. It's in the Datamine, so unless their testing just says, "Oh, this is too strong," it's usually not likely to change. But that's what we have for today. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one.
Educated Colin Snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be improved.